Super frustrated to be told that, well, just read out loud a little bit more, or have her read out loud, or try these flashcards, do this memorization sheets. Nothing, it wasn't effective.
She struggled to understand instruction sometimes, especially with her math assignments. And then when it came to comprehension on her English assignments, she would have a hard time with recalling details.
Ella was struggling in school to keep up with what everyone else was learning and reading, and it was keeping her behind. She couldn't read a full story or understand what was going on, and she was just constantly behind and never quite catching up.
They're at school realizing, I don't quite understand that, but maybe I don't want to raise my hand and ask for help. I don't want that kind of a spotlight on me, so we just kind of suffer in silence.
She hated school. Ella hated school. It was really hard for her to even go. She felt that she was dumb.
I was taught by memorizing, right? I mean, when I went to school, it was you memorized your ones and your twos and things like that. And there's certain numbers that are trickier than others for different kids. And it just seemed that having some of those basic fundamentals of math were missed.
We tried a lot of interventions at school and nothing was helping. She had an IEP, and doing that every day, nothing was progressing at all. And we were not finding the solutions that we needed in order to answer why she was not keeping up or able to compete academically with everybody else.
I did sit on one visit with her special education teacher, and they did some activities with her math, but I don't think they fully understood the holes in what she was or wasn't understanding.
You learn this way, do this worksheet, you're gonna be fine, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you.
I am a pretty hands-on mom, involved mom, and I want to support my kids as much as possible, but there's only so much I can do. And at the end of the day, it's the student, the child that has to do that. But I feel like the resources are very limited in the classroom and in the school.
And I recognize the struggle and the techniques she was using prior to what we were doing here, because I did it myself. My times tables have always been a struggle, and her coping techniques were the same ones I did when I was her age. And so recognizing that struggle made me realize that sure, flashcards worked for me temporarily and it got me to do what I needed to do, but I didn't retain them. And I wanted something that would be better for her, that she could really master them and have them with her as she gets older.
If you would have told me when we first walked in here that first day that this is where we would be, I wouldn't believe you. I really wouldn't. I would not believe you. And seeing the progress day after day, week after week, just leaps and bounds. And to know that she's going to be fine. She's going to be fine.
When you were able to help her to recognize that she wasn't visualizing, and that was something that I never even thought of. Like for me, it's always come so naturally that that's just the way that I read, that it never occurred to me that she didn't do that.
We're gonna figure out how you learn best, I think was a very relieving thing for her, that yeah, you're not the same as everybody else, right? Everybody's just as different as everybody else.
When we came and we discovered that the biggest thing was she didn't recognize her vowel sounds, it was huge, because as soon as that piece was solved, she was able to read.
I've learned about the multiple intelligences, but I've never been trained or didn't really ever know how to implement all of them. But seeing Kira, she does well with when she can manipulate things, and that song recall is really good for her.
How they learn, that's another thing, is that the focus on how their brain is picking up the information, because not all kids learn the same. It solved a puzzle that was not happening before, and she was able to read and keep up and soared after that, actually.
By the end of that half hour, she knew times tables and just going, how did you do that?
Okay, if they're not learning it in their classroom, we're just going to teach it again in her special ed room, and then it'll sink in eventually. And they just kept doing the same thing over and over again, and not actually figuring out where the missing piece was, which, as we learned with her, was vowel sounds, and then she soared. She took off from the 3rd grade reading level to the 6th grade reading level within 3 times of coming.
It's been really cool to see her as she's been learning, especially with her times tables, that she's been making connections that I didn't even make. She's completely blown me out of the water. She knows her times table better than I do, and I've been trying to learn them with her, and I don't know them like she does.
So after we had come for only like 3 sessions, Ella had gone in and had the district test her for dibbles, and she had grown immensely, and it was amazing because the lady who proctored the test or gave the test to Ella, she sought me out at the school, because I work at the school, and said, are you the mom with the little girl with the glasses? And I said, yeah. And she said, I want you to know I tested her last time and I tested her this time, and she's gone up 100 points.
It's something that I hope that I as an educator can bring into my own classroom. Now that I kind of seen it more in action, it's harder to know how I'm going to do that with a larger scale of kids in my room. But I think it's seeing how good it is. I see how it could be worthwhile, even if you're just reaching a couple of kids.
I told my friend, I'm like, I don't know what she did. The tiles are great, the songs are great, the visualization's great, the games are great, but it's absolutely magical to see.